Hello everyone, happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I have to just pre-warn you, if you do hear background hum, it's because I have a fan on because it is boiling hot and I cannot sit in this room. You know how I am with all these lights and all this kind of stuff. So thank you so much for joining me. If you've never been here on a Monday, Mondays is where I read my subscribers' ghost stories that they send to me right here to this email address. Audio, just normal email, video if you want to, do whatever you have to do. You can send them right here and I will read them out here on Mondays, every other Monday. And of course, this series, like every And Monday series, is based on Bailey Saren's Murder Mystery Makeup Mondays. I will leave a link below to her channel where I'm very sure you know who she is already. Okay, well today's theme, today's Way I Die, was actually suggested to me on Twitter by someone. And I won't say the username just in case they don't want it to be mentioned. Where is it? Oh, I've lost it now. Okay, so here's the deal. They said, for Ghosts and Makeup Mondays, have you died from being sweaty? You go to plug in the fan, but your sweat drips on it and you get electrocuted. I haven't yet. Some silver and blue colours with black charred bronzer would be cool. I know you hate sweating like me. I do. I absolutely despise sweating, and that's exactly what's happening today. So I use these Mondays as well to kind of just use products that I've bought or been sent that I haven't used yet, and I purchased with my own money this whole brand because somebody sent it to me and I was like, yeah, that looks amazing. So this is this is Tres Luce, which is a newish brand. This is a palette I'm going to use. It looks beautiful. Then I have like an eye brush kit, some lashes. I actually have three pairs of lashes from them, but these look really nice. I have some pencils, like I said, brushes, and there's this really cool like lash tool here as well. And I'm going to use it alongside some other bits to kind of give that char-grilled, electrocuted look. Okay, so our first story today is called Witch Doctor. It says, hello Robert, I love your channel and Ghost Story Monday. Yeah, me too, thank you. It has been so fun to listen to. This isn't a ghost story, but a weird happening story that happened to my mum. When my mum was a kid, my grandfather was in the Coast Guard and they were stationed in the southern part of the United States. I'm not sure there's much of this in the north, but in the Midwest and southern states, more so in the rural areas, we have people who sort of freelance as witch doctors. I want that job. As far as I'm aware, the witch doctors my family has associated with have never been into any sort of dark craft or what have you, but it's still a little odd because my family is very religious, being raised in a Baptist church and very involved in the church. Anyway, when my mum was a kid, she had this problem with warts on her hands. I know, gross. They went to the doctor many times for different medicines to have them frozen off, but they either wouldn't go away or they kept coming back. It was very embarrassing and somewhat painful for my mum. They had tried everything. My grandmother told her dad, my great-grandfather, about the issue. He said when my grandmother had a similar problem, he took her to a witch doctor, because they were always able to cure these little things. I just want you to picture a church van driving, ultra Baptist, somehow being like, no big deal about witchcraft, it's generally way out of character. So my grandmother, also very religious, did so. The witch doctor gave my mum a cotton string. She told my mum to count the warts on her hands and tie a knot in the string for every wart she had. She was then to take the string outside to a place that gets very wet and bury it in the ground. When the string rotted, the warts would disappear. She was also never to tell anyone where she buried the string, or the warts would come back. So my mum does this, burying her string in a secret place, somewhere in West Virginia. A few weeks later, my mum's family had moved to Alabama due to a change in the Coast Guard orders. One morning, in this new place, my mum was eating breakfast. She was picking up her utensils to eat and suddenly noticed her hands. The warts were gone. She has never had them again, and they repeated this same process for my aunt sometime later when medicine wouldn't take care of it. It worked for her too. That is so crazy. String tying, right, I don't really know much about witchcraft or spell crafting, is that a thing? But there seems to be a lot of knot tying, right? Like knots and string. No, maybe not, I don't know. Okay. We have an audio story next, and this story is called My Blue Baby. Okay.
Hey Robert, just wanted to first say that I love your content and thank you for sharing all that you do. You seem like a really genuinely nice and kind person, and that's refreshing. Anyways, I want to start my story about my blue baby with prefacing two things. One, my family is very superstitious. We live in southern United States, and ghosts are just kind of a regular part of our lives. Two, I had a baby brother who passed away when I was 2 years old. He passed away in the hospital, so I never met him. So, when I was about 8 years old, I began to realize or notice one night I was in bed and I saw a blue light glowing coming up the hallway. I wasn't sure what it was, and I watched until I saw a glowing blue baby crawling past my room door and heading towards my mom's room. Of course, I freaked out and gasped, and when I did, the baby looked up at me, but he didn't stop or anything. He just kept crawling and put his little blue hand out and pushed my mom's door open and went into her room. This happened for a few nights, mostly with me covering my head as soon as I saw the blue baby and praying and wishing that that blue light did not come in my room, until I finally told my mom about it. She just laughed and said, "Ah, yes, that's your baby brother. He comes and visits me quite often. Though I didn't know that he was going past your room. I guess he wanted to see his big sister." And I said, "Well, he freaks me out, so how do I get him to stop?" And she told me, "Well, you just have to ask him. Ghosts that love you do not want to scare you. And so if you ask him not to come, he won't come to you anymore." And so, of course, the next time I saw that blue light coming down the hallway, I had all my guts about me, and I did not hide under the blanket. And when that baby crawled past my room door, I yelled out, "Hey!" I don't know why. I was 8. I just said, "Hey!" And the baby sat up. He stopped crawling and sat up on his butt and looked directly at me. And he made as if he was going to crawl into my room. And I covered my head and I screamed, "Go away, go away, go away." And I was so scared. And I never saw the baby again after that. Once I uncovered my head, the baby was gone. But my mom's room door was pushed open a crack big enough for a baby to crawl through. So I never saw him again. Though now that I'm older and I'm quite used to ghosts now and ghost stories, I do wish I would have never sent him away. My mom does tell me that she does still see my brother, though a lot less frequently than she used to when I was younger. But I wish I would have never called him away. But for anyone who is afraid of ghosts or have a friendly ghost in your house that's kind of freaking you out, apparently all you have to do is ask them to stop and they'll stop. I don't know. I hope this was interesting. It probably wasn't that creepy, but for an 8-year-old, it was fairly creepy to me. Again, thanks for all you do, and happy Monday.
Thank you so much. Happy Monday. What a cute story. Listen, first of all, looking back on it, I can imagine, you know, at the time, of course, it's terrible. Even now, I would be like, oh my fuck, there's a baby, a blue, glowing, walking. That would terrify me. So I totally get what you mean, though. Like, I can kind of see the, you know, oh, if only you had realised. I don't know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. And it's so nice that your mum gets that opportunity to see your brother more and that he still visits as well. I wonder if you can ask him to come back, or if your mum can be like, you know what, she's ready to see you now. But I do think a glowing blue baby is terrifying no matter how old you are. Thank you so much again for your story. I really, really appreciate it. This palette is super, super pigmented, by the way. Oh, actually, we're going into Marcus's audio, so I'll just go ahead and do that.
Hi, yeah, it's really hot, so all the doors and windows are open, so that's why you can hear birds and old men digging things. Okay, this is your first story. Hi Robert, I'm obsessed with your ghost stories and makeup. I look forward to them every week. I've got a story that's more witchy than ghost-like. Here it goes. I'm from New Zealand, but in 2018 my boyfriend and I did a big trip and travelled around Europe for a while. We got a rental car and just drove around to different places, not doing too much research. We ended up at Lake Garda in Italy, which was stunning. I had booked a hotel with a balcony that overlooked the lake, as we were right across the road. When we pulled up, the place had really creepy vibes. There was an old woman outside knitting on a rocking chair. We checked in and we got the room on the second floor at the end of the hallway. The room was quite musky and the doors to the balcony were stuck shut. It took us ages to open them. It was like the room hadn't been used in a long time. It had a really weird atmosphere, Not the romantic one I was looking for. When I was having a shower, the curtains kept moving, and it felt like someone was on the other side of them watching me. We went to sleep okay, but woke up and we both looked around and things seemed a bit off. Things in our bedroom had been moved around while we slept. We got dressed and went downstairs to have breakfast and get the day of exploring started. After breakfast, we went back up to the room to grab my bag and car keys. I was standing outside our door in the hallway waiting for my boyfriend to hurry up so we could leave. I was staring at the door and noticed it had the word witch engraved roughly on it, like it had been done with a small knife. I told my boyfriend to come and look. We were looking at our door and the door to another room next to us and noticed ours was a different colour as well. Then we looked back at our neighbour's door and it was wide open, without making a noise. No footsteps, no sound of the doorknob turning, or the door opening. We froze and I yelled out, "Hello?" Nobody answered and we ran. We drove into town talking about what just happened and my boyfriend was not happy. He said we needed to leave. I didn't think it was too much of a big deal as I've experienced paranormal activities in the past. After walking around town for a while we went back, parked up, but we weren't ready to go back inside this creepy hotel. So we walked across the road to the lake and as soon as we got to the path there was a pile of rocks stacked up with a stick in the middle, like it was straight out of the Blair Witch Project. Our blood turned cold and we ran back into our room with the door wide open, packed our bags and left. We drove to Milan and stayed at a hostel for the night. While he was driving, I started to Google about Lake Garda, and I didn't realise it was such a spiritual place, and they hold a burning of witches parade every year. People flock there for Halloween. My boyfriend was terrified of what had happened, and had to call his mum who didn't believe us. He went to a small church the next day, and we are not religious, but they didn't speak English. I didn't take any photos of anything, because I was scared that I would provoke it. We would have to look 4 or 5 times before crossing the road because it felt like we had been cursed, and I was just waiting for something bad to happen. This feeling did wear off after a while, but my boyfriend won't let me speak of what happened ever again. The next story is called Our First Flat Together Was Haunted. Hi Robert, can I just start this story off by saying how stunning you are inside and out? So I used to live in this little studio with my boyfriend. It was our first flat together as a young couple, and I never liked it. It had a weird vibe to it, but it was ours, so I just accepted it. I used to work in a pub back then, and I would get home really late at night. It usually took me hours to go to sleep, but even back then, my boyfriend would go to bed really early to get up at 4 AM to go to the gym. Perfect time to put your brush down and look at the camera in shock like you do. I know he's crazy. I used to be on my phone and browse the internet while he'd sleep next to me. I hated this, and I'll tell you why. Almost every night he would wake up alarmed. Sometimes he would jump out of bed and look around. Every time I would ask him what he was doing and he'd tell me someone was in the flat and he wanted to protect me from them. Sometimes he would wake up and stare at the door. The place being a studio, the door was visible from the bed. He'd just stare at it and tell me somebody was there. Creepy, right? I told myself he just had really vivid dreams until stuff started happening. Sounds of knocking on the front door and cupboard doors, kitchen cupboard doors opening. I could hear this from my bed. One night I was on my own and I could hear someone walking around the flat and knocking on the walls. And I could hear the sounds of a football being kicked about, and nobody was in the garden. One day I decided to speak to my boyfriend about this because I had a nightmare. In it there was this dark figure sitting at the edge of my bed, by my feet. I looked at it and I could tell it realised. I acknowledged its presence. I'm tearing up now writing this down. Why on earth did I decide to write this at 11 PM? Anyway, he stood up and started to slowly walk towards me. I was so scared of it and I knew. I could sense it. As it reached me, I woke up as my boyfriend was shaking me because I was hyperventilating. I was having a full-blown panic attack in my sleep. I never had the same dream again, but I always felt like somebody was there with us, and I hated it. We just didn't have the money to move. To make things worse, when I told my boyfriend about the dream, he just shrugged and said yeah. He knew we had a constant visitor with us. He could feel their presence too. Try living in that flat for another 3 years after that. We had a terrible landlord and we paid $750 for a studio that was falling apart, so I guess the ghost wasn't even the worst part. Well, there you go. There's your ghost stories for today. Robert, I'm sorry to have to do this here, but we've all agreed, we've all agreed that you're fired, unfortunately. Please, clear off with your desk and take all your stuff home with you. Okay, bye.
Well, it looks like it's my last day here. Thank you so much for your stories. Yeah, it's always fun to look into the history of a town before you get there, you know? Just in case the town's like super racist. And also for ghosts, you never know. I wonder what that door was about though. Why the door was different and why it had it must be like a witch hunt situation. Whew. Second story, that was one of the most English ghosts ever, playing football in the garden. But that's the thing, like when you move somewhere, it's so easy to be like, you know, just move out. But who has the money? Who has the money to move all the time, you know? No. Thank you so much for those stories. And yeah, I don't know what I'm going to say. Okay, what's next? Okay, our next story is called Haunted Bed and Breakfast and the Ghost Bride. This story happened years ago now, but it still gives me cold shivers every time I think about it. Myself and my fiancé at the time were pulling into the parking lot of a lovely bed and breakfast that we had heard amazing things about. As we were pulling into the parking lot, both of us noticed a woman standing in one of the windows, wearing what resembled a wedding dress. My fiancé even said, I guess they're hosting a wedding here tonight. And we thought nothing more of the matter. As we were getting checked in and being brought up to our room by the only member of staff that was anywhere to be found, she mentioned that we would be leaving at midnight and returning in the morning for checkout, and that they don't keep staff on overnights, but do have an emergency telephone number where we could reach them in case we had any issues. Again, we weren't concerned about anything at this point, until she was about to leave, and then she said that it should be a quiet night for you guys. It's our off season, and you're the only ones booked for the night. My fiancé and I exchanged nervous glances, and he said, well, what about the wedding party? The look of confusion on her face was the only answer we needed. What's even creepier was that when we went into our room, we realized this was the room we had seen from our car window. And we had to spend the entire night in that room where we had minutes earlier seen the spirit. My only regret looking back was to not further explore the haunted house. Absolutely. You have that whole place to yourself. That is terrifying, first of all. For no staff to be there as well, or security? Like, come on. That eye pencil away went on so smoothly. This is incredible, this brand. I can't believe I haven't heard about it before someone tagged me in it. Okay, so just while I finish up my face, sorry, I just had loads of peanut butter and I don't know why because I need to talk. So last week I added in some TikToks in this section and you guys seem to really like it. I think we all agree that the story was very much for entertainment purposes only, which I still really like because it's a really good story. So if you want me to carry on with those from the week before last week, do let me know. However, I do have a slightly different one for you today. So I need to lean over. Let's just start with number 1.
Okay, so just briefly, this is a mess, but this is my bedroom, and I've just been sat here just scrolling briefly. Now, every now and then, and you can see where it hits. Oh my god, it's just happened again. This thing, look, I'll just show you. There's nothing pulling that open. Every now and then I'll come upstairs and this is what's happening. Or every now and then I'll come upstairs and this thing's open. I always shut it again. It's just a storage cupboard on my floor. Can you do it again? This is not the first time this has happened, and there's so many things, and if you're interested I can show you some more things that keep happening. We keep seeing a dog that just disappears. Come on. Can you do it again?
And that must be where this one stops. So I'm under the impression they've just moved into a new house and this is something that they're starting to experience. Let's go on to number 2.
That door just opened on its own.
I saw it as well.
What are you going to do about it? Because I'm not dealing with it.
Why do I always have to be the one? Like, it's like I'm the sacrificial lamb.
Literally? Well, I don't want to have to be the one to deal with it.
Oh!
Oh my god.
Did you get that?
Yeah? Wait, hang on.
You're going to have to show in the cupboard now. Because people think that we're like bullshitting.
Right, look. Nobody in here. Nobody underneath anything here. Look, looking around here. Nobody. Nobody. Nobody.
They've gone through the door.
Oh, they've gone through the door. No.
Brilliant. Show everyone the toilet. That's great.
Okay, so we have this couple. Imagine being like, oh, I can't be able to deal with a ghost today. Can you deal with a ghost?
It says, does it feel like a good or a bad spirit, and what energy does it give off? I think there's no threat. So.
Nah, like, it's never touched us or hurt us, like, so I don't think there's anything bad about it. I think, if anything, it might be like a relative, because, like, it's not harmful to us, so it's not, like, bad in that kind of way.
Did you just see that?
Just see what?
The cupboard door just opened. Right.
And it switches back.
Did you hear that, like, whispering or that noise in the background?
You gonna speak or not? Shall I do it?
Alright. That door was, like, it was shut, but not on the latch, and it's just opened. So, yeah. Like,
Now you've
but
got
I got a load of grief in the comments because I sent you to go and deal with this cupboard door, and now that door's triggered. So, and I'm not down for that. What in the fuck?
That's just scared the shit out of me.
What the fuck?
People are going to say that there's something attached to that.
Look under the fucking table as well, showing there's no fucker in here. I'm not down for that.
That's a dishwasher under the, well, you know, unit, washing machine. Where could somebody be hiding? Oh.
That was me.
Oh God, you can't even see up there. Someone will still come up with some sort.
Okay, so this couple seem genuinely annoyed that people are, like, saying it's fake. What are we thinking so far? Let me know. They mentioned they think it's family. I don't think a family ghost member will be throwing your shit anywhere or trying to, like, really scare you. You know, I think they'll be a little bit more like, oh, in your dream, you know, or crawling past your room like that blue baby. Like something nice and something like, you know, a blue glow. You think like, oh, angels, you know?
This book's just come off this shelf. And I blame... I blame you.
Why? No, hang on. Before
I
you
blame you.
Why?
Oh, it's broken.
Why?
I blame you because you were asking for something.
Yeah, about an hour ago.
Oh, bless her. You know, that is one thing I would never want is a ghost fucking up your shit in your house. Like, you know what? Haunt me, but don't touch my stuff. Don't touch my dogs. Definitely don't come in here and mess with anything. So it seems to me like the spirit or whatever it is they have in the house is actually quite destructive, maybe not friendly at all.
This is a bit of a strange one, so let me know what you think. Last night, I was woken up with some noise that felt quite close. Sat up and across the room I could see what I would deem as a bit of an outline of a person, a shadow. It stayed for a really long time. So naturally I picked up my phone, went to take a picture. The flash went off automatically, which was annoying. So turn it off and take another one without the flash. Couldn't see anything because it was so dark, so left it. Thought I'd take another look this morning, and as you can see, I've been editing up or just making some adjustments to the lighting and things like that. And I actually have caught exactly what I could see. This is a picture that went off with a flash, and this is the one that took without the flash that's been edited. Here I've done a bit of an outline to help you see what it looks like.
Let me know what you think of this couple's story so far. We can carry it on next time, or I can carry on with the other one. Let me know and I'll pick. Okay, so that is all for today. This is my finished electrocuted while plugging in a fan look because I can't stand the heat. What an incredible brand, by the way. Everything's amazing, really, really nice. I forgot to use the brushes. I was like, oh, there's a whole brush set, and I forget to use the brushes. If you see anything scary on TikTok, go ahead and at me at RobertWLSH. Just at me right there. Or you can send in your stories right here to this email address by just typing out an email, voice, or video. Completely up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. Thanks again for joining me, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.